her duties as an Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court, would Sonia Sotomayor be A, ruling on the law, or B, giving speeches? Despite the Republican fixation on Judge Sotomayor's speeches, all that really matters is the nominee's judicial record. Our fourth story in the countdown: 4 long days of confirmation hearings have confirmed Republican senators can find nothing wrong with Judge Sotomayor's 17 years on the bench. Not that they haven't tried, not that they didn't try some more today. The Republicans extended question time to a third round of 10 minutes each. The Democrats all took a pass. When the ranking Republican greeted a witness this afternoon, Senator Jeff Sessions of Alabama learned firsthand why the context of what you say can be so important.
During these hearings, we're going to do that crack cocaine thing that you and I have talked about before.
Hear only that portion of his remarks, and it makes you wonder exactly how Senator Sessions planned to unwind after the hearing was finished for the day. You know, same as if you heard or only heard the part of Judge Sotomayor's speech in which she said she hoped that a wise Latina woman would more often than not reach a better conclusion than a white male. But if you give Senator Sessions a chance to explain himself, what he really meant to say becomes obvious.
We got to.
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate it.
I want to restate that.
You might want to.
Let me correct the record.
Please rephrase it, Senator. Please rephrase.
I misspoke.
No, quite all right.
We're going to reduce the burden of penalties in some of the crack cocaine cases and make them fair.
4 days summed up by that one soundbite. 4 days in which Republican senators have been fixated on lines taken out of context from speeches by Judge Sotomayor because they can't find anything wrong with her judicial record.
What should I tell my constituents who are watching these hearings and saying to themselves, she says one thing, but at these hearings you are saying something which sounds contradictory, if not diametrically opposed, to some of the things you've said in speeches around the country?
I would tell them to look at my decisions for 17 years and note that in every one of them, I have done what I say that I so firmly believe in. I prove my fidelity to the law, the fact that I do not permit personal views, sympathies, or prejudices to influence the outcome of cases, rejecting the challenges of numerous plaintiffs with undisputably sympathetic claims.
Plaintiffs like Frank Ritchie, a firefighter who sued the city of New Haven, Connecticut, and turned out today to testify against Judge Sotomayor. She was among the judges who ruled for the city when it threw out a test that would have qualified Ritchie and others for promotion, but not African Americans. Judge Sotomayor had based her decision not on the personal stories of the firefighters, but on the law. Something today's questions made clear the firefighters know little about.
Do you have any reason to think that Judge Sotomayor acted in anything other than good faith in trying to reach a fair decision in the case?
That's beyond my legal expertise. I'm not an attorney or a legal scholar. I simply welcomed an invitation by the United States Senate to come here today, and because this is our first time that we've gotten to testify about our story, so I can't comment on it.
In the end, Republicans who have indicated they are likely to vote for Judge Sotomayor and those who will vote against even reached agreement on her judicial views.
You have, as a judge, been generally in the mainstream.
Judge, you know, I actually agree that your judicial record strikes me as pretty much in the mainstream of judicial decision-making by district court judges and by court of appeals judges on the federal bench. You appear to be a different person, almost, in your speeches and in some of the comments that you've made.
Lots to talk about with our own Lawrence O'Donnell, a contributor to the Huffington Post and former chief of staff of the Senate Finance Committee when it was chaired by the late Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan. Good evening, Lawrence.
Good to be here, David.
Even Senator Cornyn concluded in that last soundbite that Judge Sotomayor's judicial record does not match her speeches. Wasn't her judicial record supposed to be the focus of these hearings?
You would think, but when you have the speeches and it has meaty stuff in them, they're going to go at them. And look, what the public has to remember about these hearings is these are a television invention. There were virtually no confirmation hearings for the Supreme Court before the invention of television. All of the famous Supreme Court justices that you read about in the history books as a kid had no confirmation hearings at all. And so this is show, and that's what they were doing, and that's why they didn't concentrate on her judicial opinions. 17 years as a judge, they concentrated on 2 or 3 speeches here and there, because this is nothing but a show, and that's what these hearings always are.
Senator Sessions and his crack cocaine declaration, I don't know, maybe the most ironic moment of the hearings, considering how the Republicans have taken Judge Sotomayor's remarks out of context.
Yeah, you can see why Jeff Sessions had a lot of trouble when he was nominated for the federal bench and came to that committee for a confirmation hearing. He couldn't make it through. So it's look, that's what she was up against. That's the kind of ability she was up against. And she knew it going in. She'd been confirmed by that committee twice before. I think she entered confidently. I think she knew, in a way, how difficult it was going to be and how easy it was going to be.
Firefighter Frank Ritchie admitted he could not comment on anything requiring legal expertise. I suppose nor should we expect him to be able to. But what does it tell us about the Republicans' case against Sotomayor when this was their star witness?
Yeah, look, he wasn't there to, in any sense, testify against her. They brought him in there for show. He told his story in a very articulate way. He was a very sympathetic witness. There was another Hispanic firefighter who told a similar story, and this was the only time that they got to tell their stories. And so it was actually quite an important moment for them, in a way provided by Sotomayor. If she had not been the nominee, they never would have gotten to tell their stories. And, oh, by the way, the Supreme Court would have ruled in their favor anyway. I mean, the end of their story is that the system worked very, very much in their favor, and Republicans have been trying to use them as an example of the system working against people. The Republicans forget these guys won the case in the end.
Senator Graham all but said again today that he would be voting to confirm Judge Sotomayor. So when might we expect her to be confirmed? And, Lawrence, what kind of justice do you expect her to be?
Well, she's going to be the solid judge she's been for the last 17 years. She's got a very clear record. I think she's going to be a leader in the Supreme Court. The majority leader is trying to get this vote in before the August recess. I think he might be able to. I think he might be able to get it as early as the end of next week. They have to get some appropriations bills off the floor and done before that. So there's a lot of work to do. They might stretch out a little bit going into the August recess and not go into the August recess exactly when they thought. So I think she will be confirmed by the Senate before the August recess, and she'll be able to start setting up her office in the Supreme Court in August.
Which would make this even faster in terms of the timeline than a lot of people had thought initially.
Exactly, and Chairman Leahy was being criticized for the high-speed timetable earlier by Republicans. They completely surrendered on that criticism. All of them agreed that the committee and Leahy ran a very fair hearing, and the timing was fair.
Lawrence O'Donnell, the Huffington Post and MSNBC. Lawrence, thank you so much.
Thanks, David.